Do I need permission to live? The answer is, of course, no. But in time, I found that there were circumstances preventing me from living life to the fullest. And some of that was feeling the need to have permission to either enjoy or express myself fully. I felt like I needed permission to live. I think when you're going through the systems that society puts in place for you, there is so much that requires permission. You need permission to study amongst the brightest, and you need permission to join a particular organization. You need permission to learn from particular people. And of course, that plays a significant role in society. I mean, if we didn't ask for permission before we did things, we would be savages. But as that has developed in my head, I think the seeking for permission has bled through into how I approach the more human aspects of who I am, the more intimate aspects of who I am. Feeling like I needed permission to live was a sort of reflection of the structures that were in place around me that required permission to do many things. But as you grow up, you sort of realize that you can distinguish between the two. There are parts of your life that are personal and parts of your life that are not. They are social. They are societal. They require consideration of others and their own views. You're entitled to do what it is that you want. However, you must measure that against what others want. There's a competing interest there. So as I went through it, I realized that, well, I didn't need permission to live. I mean, to do what I really enjoyed and to express myself fully, but I was still stopping myself from doing that. And I think perhaps in a sinister fashion, I was using that frame of mind of needing permission to do things as a way of stopping myself from expressing myself or from living life fully. And why would you do that? Well, it's a sort of form of procrastination, at least in my own mind, in my own experience. I thought that if I could set up my life in such a way that I didn't have to express the most intimate parts of myself and therefore be quite vulnerable with the people around me. And if the reason for not having to do that was because I thought that society required to give me permission to do that, then it meant that I didn't have to be that vulnerable. It's a scary thing, being vulnerable, being who you are truly is a scary thing. You're constantly influenced by the world around you. So being truly who you are is sometimes a conflicting process. Of course, your mind might conflict with itself, but it might also conflict with others, not necessarily in a bad way and in some sort of like society ending way. It's more like I might think this, they might think that, and those things might not sit well together. There's a discomfort around expressing yourself authentically in that way and being vulnerable enough to express that to other people. So, afraid of that, I hid behind this veneer of, oh, but I feel that I need to have permission to do that. And I think that doesn't serve me anymore. I don't think it makes me happy. I think that that form of procrastination prevents me now from, well, prevented me from enjoying my life as fully as I can. I mean, it's quite cheesy to say live each day like it's your last, but life is better when you do that. And I wasn't doing that. If you think that that's something that, doesn't build who you are, or, doesn't go to you creating the life that you want and being able to provide as I do, well, it is only those things that you have that are the most intimate aspects of who you are that make you unique. People cannot compete with what makes you unique. It is just you. So if you're looking at this and thinking, oh, it's very airy-fairy, it's up in the air, it doesn't really have any implications on my life. Well, if you're preventing yourself from being who you are through some form of procrastination, thinking that that will bring you some value, some reward in life of having done that and having gone through that, it doesn't. It does the opposite. And in fact, removing that frame of thinking from your mind is exactly what brings you those rewards in life. I mean, it's all relative. For some people, that's money. For some people, that's a family. It might be moving to another country. But if you don't actually interrogate the sorts of things that you want and just be honest with yourself about what those things are, you will never live that life. You will sort of engineer a life that you think meets that expectation of permission, but it won't be the one that you really, really want. I made a promise to myself to stop asking myself and sort of this weird fiction in my mind of society at large for permission to do the things that I want to do now. Like, there's some things that, are just at odds with laws or common decency that no one should do. I'm not advocating you should do that, but when I want to do something and I think that's a good thing, I'm not going to stop myself from doing it anymore. I'm just going to do it. Going back to that vulnerability point, I think what that means is accepting that it might not work all the time. It might not be perfect. It might not make everyone laugh and smile, and people might not agree. But at the end of the day, it's me. I am only interested in a life where I mean the me inside that I don't really express day to day at work or in social situations. That version of me has to now come through, and it is that version of me that will be the most competitive version of me, if that's what your goal is, or will be the most authentic version of me, if that's what your goal is, or will be the best version of me, if that's what your goal is. I don't need permission to live. No one needs permission to live. I mean, it sounds so silly just saying it, but I really thought that you did. So I'm going to stop that.